Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I am Rahama Ibrahim Dosara. First, the headlines. President Tinubu tasked religious and traditional leaders on fight against preventable diseases. House of Representatives say Nigeria is losing about 8 trillion naira annually to waivers and concessions. Police kills bandits, arrest 17 in clearance operations in Kaduna. And on international news, U.S. mediator Witkoff confirms progresses made as Russia-Ukraine meetings in Geneva. And on sports updates, Cameroon named 25 players for Super Falcons double-header friendlies. And now the news in full. President Tinubu charges traditional and religious leaders on fight against preventable diseases. Traditional and religious leaders have been challenged to take responsibility in the fight against preventable diseases, aimed at improving the well-being of Nigerians, remains a collective duty. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made the call while addressing the National Summit of Traditional and Religious Leaders on Health and Well-being held at the State House at Abuja. He described the gathering as an integrational and interfaith meeting of wisdom, faith and courage, while appreciating the leaders for their commitment to improving the quality of life of Nigerians in their domains. Tinubu therefore assured that maternal and newborn health immunization and outbreak response, nutrition and food security remain priorities, requiring grassroots support. The federal government has stressed the need for Nigeria to have a stable and secure oxygen supply, citing its importance for maternal health, pandemic preparedness, and emergency response. The Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Daju Kacholum, made the assertion at the 2026 edition of the National Oxygen Coordination Committee in Abuja. She also emphasized that oxygen security is a key component defining the quality of healthcare, in line with the principles of universal health coverage. The Permanent Secretary stressed that oxygen security is central to maternal health, emergency response, and pandemic preparedness, adding that it is an important component that defines the quality of care. Vice President Shettima calls for support to harness digital, agricultural potential. Financial institutions, government agencies, and private sectors partners have been urged to expand their scope to support for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Vice President Kashim Shettima made the call in Abuja when he received the 2025-2026 MSME report during a stakeholders meeting convened to review progress under the MSME and job creation framework. He noted that Nigeria must urgently harness its vast potential in the digital space, agriculture, and other high-impact sectors. Shettima, while emphasizing the role of MSMEs in economic growth, job creation, and poverty reduction, stressed that stakeholders must deepen collaboration and leverage technology to unlock opportunities for young Nigerians. Earlier, Minister of Information Mohammed Idris said the meeting as an overview of the progress recorded in the MSME, noting that over 250,000 jobs has been created, with more expected in the months ahead. Nigeria is losing about 8 trillion naira annually to waivers and concessions granted to organizations and individuals by the federal government. Chairman of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on the Review of Tax and Export Incentives, Waivers and Exemptions, James Abiodun Faleke, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. He added that between 2023 and 2026, the federal government projected total revenue foregone from tax incentives at 12.4 trillion naira, while the tax to gross domestic product (GDP) ratio remains at only 10.6%. The lawmaker, however, assured that they will continue to give periodic reviews of the exercise and be transparent in the investigation. Faleke also said the exercise is not a witch hunt and should not be misconstrued as an attempt to undermine legitimate businesses or government support programs, but is intended to strengthen the administration of incentives, safeguard public funds. The Kaduna State's Governor Ubasani has impacted the life of the people, improved security, economic activities, and others. Commissioner for Information Kaduna State, Malam Ahmed Mayaki, made this known in a flagship program on Standard Voice Television Guest of the Week, anchored by Ibrahim Dusara. He stated that the present administration inherited security, huge debts, among others. Standard Voice Television reporter Ilya Adamu Auta has more on the special program.
Mayaki explained that Governor Obasani has done well in all areas, particularly fight against insecurity, where he provided logistics and all that is needed for security agencies.
Now, the first step was for the government to provide logistic vehicles, because the security agencies at the time hadn't enough vehicles to even patrol and ensure the security of lives on people of Kaduna State. So the first step was providing these logistic vehicles to security operatives, the joint security operatives of the military, the police, the DSS, as well as civil defense.
The Honorable Commissioner also said the state government has empowered farmers and boosted agricultural activities by providing fertilizers across the state.
So in terms of agriculture, His Excellency Governor Obasani in 2024 gave a support of about 500 trucks of fertilizer, of NPK and urea to smallholder farmers. 100,000 smallholder farmers, as a way of supporting them, because one of the key challenge is having access to fertilizer.
On education, Mayaki disclosed that Governor Obasani has revitalized and furnished many schools, rolled out scholarships both home and abroad, increment of teachers' salary, and also review downward the school fees in all state-owned institutions.
Government of Governor Obasani had focused in fencing the schools, in also providing security apparatus. Now, at the peak of this insecurity, one of the quick things that the governor has done to ensure that no child is left behind in the issue of education, because to Governor Obasani, education is a right, not a privilege. We started a project that we call Education on Radio. At the time, I was the managing director of Kaduna State Media Corporation. We introduced what we call Education on Radio, where these children are in clusters. They are being taught in through radio, according to the curriculum design of Kaduna State Ministry of Education. And that continued until this time, where we have achieved tremendous success in security.
He added that the state government has also engaged in road projects across 12 local government areas and has upgraded several healthcare facilities in the state.
That for close to 12 years, there are 12 local government areas that have been abandoned without a single kilometer of road in these areas. That is why the governor had embarked on, road projects spanning about 1,335 kilometers, totaling 140 routes across communities, across rural and urban communities.
Speaking on how the present government is managing the people who were displaced by the former administration, the commissioner explained that,
well, I need to also state for the records that His Excellency Governor Obasani, as a human rights activist that has led in the past the enthronement of democracy in Nigeria, one that has been a major advocate of justice. He is very concerned with the loss of jobs, with the destructions of houses, with the demolition of houses that were done unjustly. And he is revisiting these issues. In terms of demolition, the agency that is charged with that responsibility is the Kaduna State agency that is charged with, that is called KAJIS. And that agency has been mandated by His Excellency to review cases of demolition that were done unjustly. and to ensure that the right thing is done to people that have been affected. And I can assure you the agency is working. Yeah, it has been consulting. The leadership of that agency has ensured that people that were wrongly affected, government revisit, either relocating them, providing them alternative land and support.
The Kaduna State government has executed several projects such as provision of subsidized transportations for students and workers, salary increment, pension, payment of pension, foreign scholarships, recruitment of teachers, improve security, and revive economic activities, among other projects. Ilia Adamauta.
The National Assembly has amended Clause 28 of the Electoral Act Amendments Bill, reducing the mandatory notice period for elections from 260 days to 300 days. The adjustment permits the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, greater flexibility to plan the 2027 presidential and National Assembly elections between late December 2026 and January 2027. The amendment was approved during clause-by-clause consideration of the reworked bill following a motion for rescission and recommitted moved by Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele. The change follows INEC's earlier timetable announcement, which had set presidential and National Assembly polls for February 2027, a period coinciding with Ramadan. Spokesman of the State House of Representatives, Akin Rotimi, says the transmission of election results electronically is mandatory. This news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. And still to come in the news, police kills bandit, arrest 17 in clearance operation in Kaduna. And an international scene, U.S. mediator with CAF confirms progress as made as Russia-Ukraine meetings in Geneva. And on sports updates, Cameroon named 25 players for Super Falcons double-header friendlies. Stand by for this and many more. Welcome back, and now the news continue. Kaduna State Police Command have killed squads of bandits, recovered weapons, and arrested 17 suspects during a clearance operation in parts of the state. Spokesperson for the command, DSP Mansur Hassan, in a statement, said the operation were described as parts of renewed efforts to curb banditry and other violent crimes in the state. He explained that the raids targeted at bandits, camps, and criminal hideouts in Kajuru, Chafa, Igabi, and Kauru local government areas. Hassan also confirmed that many bandits' camps were dislodged during the coordinated raids, while some of the hoodlums were killed in the fires-gone battle with operatives. The spokesperson added that suspected informants and drug suppliers linked to criminal networks were also arrested. The federal government has threatened to stop the salaries of unverified civil servants from March 2026, following the conclusion of the ongoing personal audits and skills gap analysis. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Walson-Jack, made this known in a memo addressed to the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission, Tunji Olaipa. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Walson-Jack, made this known in a memo addressed to the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission, Tunji Olaipa. The federal government in 2025 introduced the Personal Audit and Skills Gap Analysis, known as the PASGAP project, as parts of reforms aimed at reinforcing the efficiency and integrity of the public service. The audit is coming following a directive by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the 2025 Maiden International Civil Service Week. Walson-Jack in the memo announced a final 2-week window for affected officers to regularize their status, after which sanctions would apply. While the individuals in the society have been urged to intensify efforts toward empowering citizens and building mosques to attract reward hereafter, some Kaduna-based Islamic scholars and well-meaning Nigerians made the call at the commissioning of a new mosque in Babban Saura, Chikun local government area in Kaduna State. Standard Voice television correspondent Muhammad Idris was there and now reports.
Mosque, which was initially built more than 45 years ago, was demolished and built to a modern structure in line with the best international standard by a philanthropist who do not want his name to be mentioned. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, politicians, and other well-meaning Nigerians from all walks of life attended the August gathering. The Islamic scholars at the occasion called on Islamic faithful to always accord priority attention on building new mosques and as well as rehabilitating the existing one.
I'm appealing to the community of Basara to come together as one ummah to make sure they run this mosque as it is in the Islamic religion. Make sure they are collaboration together, making sure all the activities of Islamic religion is taking place in this mosque. More especially prayers, 5 days prayers and Juma prayers. And make sure that they have do everything possible to maintain this mosque as standard as we give it to them.
Okay. Other important personalities who graced the occasion have this to say.
You can imagine that they've started this project since 1978, but nobody could afford to come and finish up the project. But Alhamdulillah, as when I saw it and I presented this project to him, and Kuma, by the grace of God, he has completed the project and the hall, and also the Islamic schools for the young children and for other worshippers to participate in the whole ibadah.
Some Islamic scholars read some verses from the Holy Quran.
كلام قديم لا يمل سماعه تنزه عن قول وفعل ونية به أشتفي من كل داء ونوره دليل لقلبي عند جهلي وحيرتي فيا رب متعني بالسر حروفه ونور به وقلبي وسمعي.
I am Muhammad Idris, Standard Voice Television.
And on entertainment news, the duo of Nigerian Tems and Burna Boy have broken their tie with South African group Sita as the African artist with the most Billboard US Hot 100 entries. The trio were previously tied at 7 entries each. But Burna Boy and Tems earned new entries in the chart this week through their features on J. Cole's albums. The fall-off, Tems has now earned 3 Billboard Hot 100 entries this year, with Rain Dance, with Dave, What You Need, and the latest Bounce Road Blues. She has the most entries for any African artist this year so far. Meanwhile, Burna Boy has become the first African artist to have a song on the Billboard Hot 100 for 6 consecutive years. His entries over years include Loved by You 2021, Last 2022, Sitting on Top of the World, and Taliban's 2 2023. Just Like Me and We Pray 2004, WGFT 2025, and Only You 2026. And on international news, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has confirmed that discussions between Ukraine and Russia had brought about meaningful progress to end the war as both sides prepared for a second day of negotiation in Geneva. However, hopes of a breakthrough remain low, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky complaining that it is not fair that U.S. President Donald Trump keeps asking his country to compromise. Other than that, peace will not be achieved if victory is handed to Russia. U.S. President Donald Trump had earlier suggested it is up to Ukraine to ensure consultation in Switzerland, if Switzerland are successful without mentioning Russia. Zelensky has repeatedly said Ukraine is being asked to make compromises compared to Russia, noting that robust security guarantees from the West, including the U.S., must come before any settlement with Russia can be agreed. And on sports updates, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have opened its camp in Mundi ahead of the double-header friendlies. against the Super Falcons of Nigeria. 25 players have been called up to the training camp with players drawn from the Cameroon Women's Championship, with the addition of few foreign-based players. The friendlies against the Super Falcons is expected to hold on Saturday, 28 February and Tuesday, 3rd March. Both games will serve as part of the Lionesses' preparation for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. They are drawn in Group D with Ghana, Cape Verde and Mali. And that's all we have for today's package. On behalf of the production team, Head of News and Current Affairs, Ilya Adamu Auta, I still remain Rahama Ibrahim Dusara. Do have a nice day and thanks for watching.